Today we're going to make pH indicator paper from red cabbage leaves. The first thing we need to do is get the cabbage juice from off the leaves by putting the leaves inside of a jar or a beaker that can be heated. Once we get enough leaves in, we will cover the leaves with distilled water. Make sure all the leaves are covered completely, and then we will set it on a hot plate to simmer. Once that it has simmered, we will then filter the juice by using a coffee filter, and we'll pour all of the liquid into our second beaker. Now we need to evaporate or condense our solution. While we're condensing our solution by using low heat, we will prepare our coffee filter paper for to be made into pH paper. Once we have cut our strips to the desired size, then we will place them inside of a bowl or container so that they can soak up the condensed cabbage juice when it's ready. Now that our paper is all in, now we just wait. Once our concentrated cabbage juice is ready, we will pour it upon our filter paper. We make sure that the paper is completely covered with the cabbage juice, concentrated cabbage juice, so that it will soak in the most particles. After a few minutes, and the paper is soaked in the cabbage juice, we will then take, and using pins, clothespins, bobby pins, or some other device, to hang our filter paper up on a line so that it can dry. After we've got all the paper up on a line, and after that it dries, we will then put our paper together, and we're going to trim the edges so that we have a uniform size to our indicator paper. Now we're going to cut our paper into test strips of the desired width. Once the test strips are made, now we need to make our pH scale. So we'll lay out a test strip for each of a known pH value. In our case, we're going to use pH 1, pH 3, pH 5, pH 7, pH 9, pH 11, and pH 13. Starting with pH 1, we'll put 1 drop of pH 1 on the tip of our indicator paper. You will see that it turns the characteristic bright pink color, indicating an acid of value of pH 1. Now we want to make sure that we do not contaminate our pieces. So sometimes we have to alternate the test strips so that they do not become contaminated. Now pH 3. Finally, we get to pH 13, and we will see that it will turn it to a characteristically yellowish green color. Now on our box we will mark the pH values 1 through 13. With a dried pH strips, we will then trim off a small sample of each pH value and put it underneath the appropriate number. Here we put the color of pH 1 underneath number 1. Line it up carefully. pH 3. And we get to pH 7 here. We now need to put Scotch tape over our test strips to hold them in place and to keep them from becoming further contaminated. Then we finish with the 3 remaining pH values in place, and then once again using Scotch tape cover them up. Once we have done this, we now have our indicator guide to tell us what value of pH we're looking at.